Check 1, 2. Test 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Yeah. Well, Donald, congratulations with your new album.
Thank you.
Tell me something about the dream car. Why is the title of the dream car Kamakiri?
Well, a Kamakiri is Japanese for praying mantis, and it's a fictional car. I found it in a Japanese dictionary, and because the story takes place in the near future, I had to invent a car, and this car is called a Kamakiri. It's a very interesting car. It's got a bionic farm in the back. It's steam powered, very clean driving. I envisioned it as it's not a fast car. It probably goes about 40 miles an hour. And it's got a link with a satellite called TripStar, which is a acronym for teleologic routing satellite, and at least in my mind, that's what it stands for. And it really, in fact, the satellite is leading him to his destination, which is unknown in the beginning of the album, and in fact, it's unknown at the end of the album as well.
But do you think that steam-driven cars are the future?
Well, I don't really know. It wasn't really a projection of what the actual technology might be in the future, but a kind of a fantasy of what technology might be. And I wanted, I wanted a car that would be, a clean car, because this guy's sort of supposed to start with a sort of clean soul, and when he innocent or naive, and as he makes this journey, he things change for him.
Do you see Kamakiriad as a concept album? Are all the 8 songs related together?
Yeah, very much like my first solo album, The Nightfly. The songs are loosely related. I think that you can't make a record that's as detailed as, say, a short story or a novel, because the medium just doesn't bear it. There would be too much exposition, and too much didacticism if I tried to explain everything. So there's just a loose connection between them, and I think the first song introduces the narrator, the car, and the concept of this journey he's about to take, which seems, you get the idea it's going to be dangerous and possibly fun, but you're not exactly sure where he's going. And then the 6 following songs are adventures that he has along the way, and he finally ends up in a town called Flytown, and that last trip is described in the last song, which is called Tea House on the Tracks.
But in which picture of time are all the stories happening?
Well, I envisioned it as taking place in the near future, somewhere around the millennium, somewhere around the year 2000. And I did this because I think, I was always a fan of science fiction, and I think one reason is that it allows you to be detached from the subject you're talking about to some extent, and also allows you to invent technology which can serve as metaphors for whatever you want them to be.
But are you obsessed about Century's End, about fin de siècle? Because you had already written a song about it, changing of decades, decenniums?
I don't know if I'm obsessed with it, but I'm certainly interested in it. I think everyone's interested in it. It's has a lot of mythic intensity. Like, some people think it's going to be the apocalypse, and there's I guess people who are apocalyptically minded, like, say, our ex-president Reagan, have a very intense feelings about this. I myself feel that the best you can hope for is, I think, probably there will be a change going into the 21st century, and hopefully it'll be humans will adapt to the new environment as my character does.
But do you see similarities with the change from the 19th century, the real fin de siècle, in this world?
Yeah, I think it's hard to make an easy comparison. I think because for one thing, I think the 19th century, as someone mentioned, was a century of sentimentality, while the 20th century is turning out to be a century of irony. So you really have a different sort of orientation. I think that psychic orientation. So I think irony. The question is whether irony is a sign of decadence or a sign of sophistication that might lead to something more positive. It's hard to say.
Why did you ask Walter to produce the album?
Just before I went in to record the songs, I realized I wanted someone to bounce ideas off and to help me. For instance, I'd be out in the studio singing, and if no one's there to help me, I have to keep running back and forth. So it's kind of, you have to keep changing hats. So since Walter had just finished producing a Ricky Lee Jones album, he had the timing worked out, and he agreed to come in and produce it. And it was a great idea, as it turned out, because our experience is very much like it used to be making a Steely Dan album. In fact, it was actually much better than that. So it worked out really well.
And was it also the reason why it took such a long time? You have to wait for Walter to finish the album?
Not really. After the Nightfly album was released in '81, I suffered a writer's block for a few years. It was very hard to write songs, and so I took some other musical jobs for a while until in the late '80s I got this idea for the Kamakiriad album, and most of the time that went by was really a time of reflection for me, and as I say, I was found other useful things to do until I felt like doing another album.
Yeah. But you released from 1972, you released almost every year an album till 1981 or till the beginning of the 80s. And after that, was that some kind of a gap for you, or just a writer's block, no inspiration?
Well, in a sense, I think that those first albums were fueled by a kind of youthful energy, and I think at some point you run out of the energy of youth, and then you have to really live some more in order to have something else to write about. I wasn't interested in writing, releasing albums that had no meaning to me or were repetitive, so I really just had to wait till I had something else to say.
But can you call it a struggle to get the same success as the Nightfly, or wasn't that the case?
No, it didn't have to do with success, really, in the sense of
pressure.
No, not at all. It was more a matter of I have no control over my creative, very little control over, it's hard for me to induce a period of creativity because it has to do with your life and what you're living. So, it was just hard for me to be able to synthesize, what I was going through at the time into some kind of art. It just wasn't happening.